Yeehaw! It's time for the Texans Squad. Everything Houston Texans, every week. Bringing you the big hits, game-changing plays, and all the action straight from the Lone Star State. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. Saddle up and squad up. It's the Texans Squad Show, starting now.
And finally, after all of the years of defeat and being so close and feeling like you can't do it, they've done it. They've defeated the Kansas City Chiefs at Arrowhead Stadium, and the Texans have put themselves in the playoff picture in the AFC and possibly knocked the basically dominator of the AFC for the last 10 years out of that playoff picture for the first time in a very long time. Hello and welcome tonight to the Locked On Texans Squad Show. I am Michael Connor. That's former Texans offensive lineman Wade Smith. We're with you breaking this one down as the Texans pick up the victory, their fifth consecutive win. It might have given you a little bit of stress throughout the night like it did me. We'll talk about it all. Tonight's show is brought to you by FanDuel. If you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your live bets all season long. Wade, when we first got on here, I told you this one took some years off of my life tonight. How are you after that Texans victory over those Chiefs?
I'm feeling good, man. Ding dong, the witch is dead. I mean, they're not mathematically eliminated from the playoffs, but realistically, the Chiefs are done. And for it to be the Texans to go into Arrowhead to put them out of their misery and hopefully send, Travis Kelce into retirement. I mean, he's a shell of himself out there. He had a hell of a career. He's on, top 2-3 tight end in the history of the game, but he's just not the same guy. And Pat Mahomes out there on the island. It's time for some new blood to take over the AFC. And the Texans went out there and got a dub, man. It was a physical ball game from the jump. You look and see what that defense for the Kansas City Chiefs did, especially in that third quarter. You were like, man, this game is getting away from the Texans, but they figured out a way to make the plays they needed to make. And on defense, the Texans they were the more physical team out there, period. Made play after play, and the Texans got a big dub on the road. And now the Texans are back in the playoff picture. I think they're the 7th seed right now. They're a game behind the Jacksonville Jaguars. They beat the Colts today, so they took over first place in the division. But the Colts are out of the playoffs right now. The Chiefs are out of the playoffs right now, and there's a lot of other teams that are out of the playoffs right now. But you know who's not out of the playoffs right now? It's the Houston Texans. The Houston Texans are in the playoffs right now, and that's something to be excited about because think about what we were talking about and what was going on when the Texans were 0-3, or when like a month ago. What were we talking about? This was not a realistic possibility, but credit to DeMeco Ryans, credit to the Houston Texans organization, to the coaching staff over there, the players over there, that they just kept chopping wood, man. They kept putting one foot in front of the other and continue to improve and getting better. And now they came out with a big dub, and now you're back in the playoff hunt, and you still have bigger fish to fry. You still got to, finish out the year the right way in order to get to where you want to go. But they're in position and they control their own destiny for the rest of the way out.
And they accomplished something now. Look, you mentioned it. The Kansas City Chiefs aren't dead now. Well, we talked about this a little bit last week at the end of the last game. Think about all of the tiebreaker scenarios the Texans have won themselves this year. They've beaten the Buffalo Bills. They've beaten the Indianapolis, they'll have the tiebreaker over them because they'll end up with a better division record, but that one probably won't matter. They've beaten the Baltimore Ravens. Now they've beaten the Kansas City Chiefs. It'll come down to probably what division record in the tiebreaker for the Jacksonville Jaguars because you split with them. Right now, the Texans division record's 4-1. The Jacksonville Jaguars division record is 3-1. So that one's going to be a tight battle there. After that, I don't know if it goes to conference or goes to strength of victory. That's further down the road. But just from where this team went, man, I mean, I think back on doing these shows early in the season when they started off 0-3. And look, there was not a lot of perfect in that second half tonight. I think we both agree on that. We'll get into some of the details of it. There was a lot left out there, and there was a lot of frustration offensively. But look, the theme has been the same all year. They play tight, close games. And since that 0-3 start, they have found a way to win every single week. And we've asked them to beat big boys along the way. And guess what they've done? They've beaten big boys. I think for all the 3 teams that DeMeco Ryans has had in his tenure now as the head coach, the first year one was obviously the shocking year, but I had a ton of confidence because the swagger was there and it was fun. It was explosive. It was exciting. It was something we hadn't seen in a while. And it just felt like they had that juju, Mm-hmm. Last year we went into the playoffs and I did not have a lot of hope going in because they were just sluggish all year. We all know about it's like that sophomore slump, basically.
Right.
And this year, you might not have the offense clicking the way that you do, and they might do things that irritate you every single week and don't give you confidence, but they do enough. And I think that my confidence level right now in a D'Amico Ryan's coach team has never been as high as it is at this moment. Is that a crazy thing to say?
I don't think it's crazy at all. Listen, they figure out a way to play complementary football just enough to get the W. Like, hey, we need the offense to get a first down to close this game out. Back-to-back games, they've done that. Hey, we need to flip the field with a good Tommy Townsend punt to back up your opponent and let the defense be who the defense is. The Houston Texans defense is the best defense in the league. We talked about that going into the season, that this defense is going to be elite. They have lived up and I believe exceeded the billing. They're still the number one defense when it comes to yards, points, any kind of legitimate metric you can come up with. They're number one, and they show it week in and week out. And tonight was no different. They're going to play to their strengths and try to minimize their weaknesses. The Texans didn't turn the ball over. They almost did a couple times, but they didn't turn the ball over, and then they turned over the Kansas City Chiefs, I believe, 3 times.
Yep.
3 interceptions. Pitre had a nice, not even a nice pick. It was an amazing pick. It was an amazing play. Solo play. We bats the ball up and then turns around and picks it off himself. And then Lassiter gets a pick. I kind of wish that he would have dropped that thing because it was a hell of a punt. Basically, talking about
it was, yeah,
for Mahomes. But I'm glad he caught it just for him. You know what I mean? But it was a pick by Lassiter, and then to seal the game, Aziz catches the pick off of the deflection from the pass to Kelsey. And a lot of people will try to blame Kelsey for that play, but that ball was behind him, and it was behind him because Mahomes had pressure on him. The pocket was closing on him, had to get it out. Ball was behind Kelsey. He pops the ball up in the air, and then Aziz comes up with the pick, which was a huge play, and that pretty much sealed the deal. And so, when you win a turnover battle, when the special teams is perfect as far as they made all their kicks, they did a good job on the return game once again with Noel. They didn't give up any explosive, really, I don't think, on the kickoff return or on the punt return. And then the Kansas City Chiefs missed the kick.
One of the greatest doinks on TV you'll ever hear, too. That thing was so loud.
Right. I mean, and so, and it's even better because it was at Arrowhead. It wasn't at your place. You did it at your own house. And so that's how you win the ball game. You don't turn the ball over. You turn over your opponent. You play well on special teams, and you run the ball when you need to. And that's exactly what they did today, and that's how they came out with a W.
Came out with it. Guys up and down the roster. I'm glad you mentioned the name of Jalen Pitre there because I think one of the guys, going to go through the guys that stood out more than anybody else tonight. His season when he has obviously, been on the field has been exceptional. He's really, I mean, you think back to last year's team, one of those missing things at the end of the year, it was him, right? I mean, that missing piece truly was him. Yeah. What do you think he gets enough love? Do you think he gets enough, praise for what he does overall? Because it feels like he's in the mix on everything for this football team. And I mean, hell, even that big hit that he laid in there, there late in the game. I mean, it just feels like every time that he's involved in a play, it's a statement type of play, and it really kind of is, a reminder that, man, they've got some serious depth on this defense.
You know what? Jalen Pitre gets the love where you want to get the love from, and that's from his teammates, from his opponents, from the coaching staff that have the game plan against him. I saw something on I don't know if it was on X or something I saw the other day, and they asked Derrick Henry, who's the hardest player in the league, and out the blue, he's like Jalen Pitre. That's the stuff that matters. Like he doesn't get the the publicity from maybe media types and fanfare maybe that might not be as high outside of the Houston area, but that don't matter. What matters is that people, when they play against Jalen Pitre, they know he's gonna come tag you. And you saw it today. He hit Rasheed Rice so hard. That was what I grew up, and that's what I participated in football. That was ball. That was a legitimate hit. But in 2025, I'm like, man, they might throw a flag on that just because he hit him so well. And they didn't throw the foul. Thankful for that. But that was ball. That was a huge play because that would have been a completion. He comes across the middle late, and he just tags him. That play, the pick. The thing about Jalen Pitre was, especially his rookie year, he struggled in coverage. He was a guy that could come up and he struggled in tackling early on in his career too. Those two things he's corrected, and what he's done as a cover guy just really should be lauded, because I'm watching the game today. I'm like, man, does Travis Kelce still play for the Kansas City Chiefs?
He had I think it was 5 targets, 1 catch, 8 yards.
Right. And in the first half, I don't think he had anything. He was blanked in the first half.
Yeah.
I wrote that note down at halftime. I was like, does Kelce even play for? I seen him out there. They showed Taylor Swift, so he must be there. But he's not there. Locked him up. There's certain guys that you don't really see that much. You don't see that much of Stingley because they won't throw at him. I think
they didn't throw him at all tonight.
I think
it
they
felt
completed one pass on him.
Yeah.
It might have been in the third quarter. One pass on him. That was one time I saw him. He looked really cold out there. I was like, but
his jersey, you know what I noticed? At one point when they showed him, he made a play or something, and his jersey was like perfectly white still. I'm like, he's not been involved in anything tonight.
Yeah, like you don't see him that much. You see Lassiter a lot. They like to try Lassiter, and he makes a lot of plays, so they talk about Lassiter a lot. And you see Jalen Pitre come in to tag people and to deflect balls and to force quarterbacks to get rid of the ball fast. And this game he didn't do that much blitzing because he was covering Travis Kelce a lot, and he did an excellent job. And he fits so well in this defense. And Matt Burke likes to figure out different ways to use Jalen Pitre, and he's just excelling in that role. He doesn't even have like a legitimate title. He's not a safety. He's not a nickel. He's not a linebacker. He's all that. I don't know if they have a special name for him in that defense, but if there's one position in that defense that has a special name, I would think it's Jalen Pitre, and for what he does. And so I'm happy for him. I'm excited for the fact that he's a local guy that is really showing out and playing at such a high level. He does things well on and off the field. And so I'm just glad that he's back healthy, because when he was not there, you notice the difference. Even though that defense was amazing without him, you add that piece and it just takes it to another level. And so, Jalen Pitre, he deserves any kind of accolades and credit that he gets. But the people that gives it to him the most are people that know ball, that play ball, that know ball, and have the game plan against their opponents. And so to me, those are the 3 most important groups of people that you want to impress.
And he's out there running around looking like he's a bobblehead with that halo cap on too, which is, I mean, I got no problem with it. I'm just not used to seeing it. When you see it, like, it's just so weird.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you, fashion wise, it don't look good at all.
It doesn't.
But I mean, hey, player safety, I ain't mad at it. If it can keep you healthy and on the field, and it can keep you being able to multiply and divide after you retire, I'm all for it.
All for it, that's for sure. We'll get into some more of the defense as well, of course, the offensive side of things tonight, the good and the bad, which is the first half versus the second half, as we continue on here on the Locked On Texans Squad show. I want to tell you guys, it's holiday season. Holidays are officially here, which means gift hunting season is on. And if you want something meaningful, personal, and guaranteed to get a reaction, Aura Frames is the gift that delivers every time. It's not just something you wrap, it's a way to share memories, because Aura isn't your average picture frame. You can preload the frame with photos before gifting it, so when you plug it in, the memories are already there. No apps to figure out, no setup headaches, just instant smiles. It's great for grandparents, parents, newlyweds, anybody that loves photographs. Packaging comes gift ready, no price tag, no wrapping, no needed at all. It's an absolute huge win. For a limited time, save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $35 off Aura's best-selling Carver matte frames, named #1 by Wirecutter, by using promo code LOCKEDON at checkout. That's auraframes.com, promo code Locked On. This deal is exclusive to listeners, and frames sell out fast, so order yours now to get it in time for the holidays. Support the show by mentioning us at checkout. Terms and conditions apply. 20-10, the Houston Texans take down the Kansas City Chiefs, and we are as excited as you can get here on the Locked On Texans Squad show. I'm Michael Conrad, former Texans offensive lineman Wade Smith. We are with you for a little while longer talking about this victory tonight. Of course, if you're new to this channel, hit the subscribe button if you're watching it live. If you're watching it later on, also hit the subscribe button. And, of course, get the podcast anywhere that you get your podcast. Search for Locked On Texans. You get this show and John's daily show. They'll be back with us on Tuesday for the midweek show, and we'll get you ready for the game against the Arizona Cardinals, which I think we can all agree should be a very easy walk to it. You can't say that. It's the NFL. Every week there's a bad team that wins, but the Texans should win. You can't have a letdown next week because they've brought themselves back. They're 8-5 now on the season. How about that too? How big do you think this is for the signature win on the road for D'Amico Ryans? Because that's one of the things we've talked about. There's not been as many signature road wins at times that you would like in this era of football. What do you think that means here tonight, Wade?
I think it's huge. I think it's a big deal when you look at the fact that it's not guaranteed that the Texans are going to win a division. It's going to take some help to win the division just because Jacksonville is ahead of them by a game, and if Jacksonville wins out, they win the division. And so that means that the first game of the playoffs, if the Texans get in there, then they're going to have to play somebody on the road. So having that confidence, knowing that you can go out there and do it against it. Like, that was a playoff game for the Kansas City Chiefs. They played that game that as desperate as if they needed to win that game or the season was over. That's what the playoffs are. You win or you go home. And so for the Texans to go in there to win the game, send them packing, and it wasn't just a one-score game. They won it by 10 points. There was more points out there to be had. The Texans just didn't execute as well as they needed to in order to get that done. We talk about it, man. The defense travels. That defense travels. I don't care where you – listen, they lose Tim Settle, but there's so much depth on that defensive line. I know that the Kansas City Chiefs offensive line was banged up and they had multiple starters out of that ball game, but I thought that the Kansas City Chiefs, I thought that they put together a good game plan as far as to try to slow down the Texans, getting the ball out quick with screens, running the ball downhill at them, to kind of cover up a lot of those inefficiencies with the personnel that they had there. But guess what? At the end of the day, it didn't matter because the Texans just have too much. They overwhelm their opponents. They get out. Pat Mahomes was out there running like a chicken with his legs cut, with his head cut off. It was, and really with his leg cut off too.
Yeah.
He got there with one knee, and because he's Pat Mahomes, he's gonna fight through each and everything. He's gonna figure out a way to get first downs and convert third and sevens. He was doing that. He was still himself as far as that goes, but it was just too much. The Texans defense, it was funny because they were talking about Danielle Hunter. Like, Danielle Hunter is being shut down. Basically, he's only had 4% pressure, is the worst all year long, and the next play gets the pressure. And so I was like, I guess Danielle must have hurt him. But when you got Will Anderson rushing, when you got Tommy T that had a sack in the game, yeah, those guys.
His name pops up every game, man.
Every game is going to pop up. And then on every level, the Texans have guys that make plays. They just have playmakers all over the field. All over the field. Callum Bullock, playmaker. Lassiter, playmaker. Stingley, when they throw at him, playmaker. But they stay away from him because they know he's a playmaker. Aziz, playmaker. Like, the linebackers, they have playmakers all over the field, and they showed that today. They showed that tonight, and you needed that in order to get that W because – the Kansas City defense is pretty damn good too, and they were dialing up pressure. They were dialing up blitzes. There was time when the offensive line and just the offense in general just looked overwhelmed. Chris Jones is a grown-ass man. He's still a grown-ass man. He's going to be a grown-ass man. He hasn't slowed down one bit. And, he forced C.J. Stroud into being really uncomfortable. Although he started off the game, they looked really comfortable out there. They were looking good early on the ball game. But as time went on, Chris Jones started putting his foot down, and it got ugly for the Texans. But like I said, it's a signature win because they figured out a way to play great complementary football, play to their strengths, minimize errors, didn't turn the ball over, and that's how you go out there and get a W.
Yeah, I mean, like, you just go look at the box score tonight. Nothing looks necessarily pretty in it. I mean, C.J. Stroud's numbers, like you mentioned early on, were fantastic, but they end 15 of 31, so less than 50%, 203 with a touchdown. The rushing game, Woody Marks' box score looks awful, 26 for 68, but there were so many really, and his longest run was 8 yards tonight, but there was a lot of really good, hard, tough, and key runs that he was able to pull off tonight. Obviously, Nick Chubb left the game with a rib injury, only got 1 carry out of him tonight. What can be said for what Dario Gumbuwale was able to do in his one play out there? I mean, there's a guy that had such a bad moment to start this season out there in LA, to have that one run for 5 yards and to be a touchdown. Like you mentioned, this team, for all the frustrations, because again, yes, there's frustrations tonight. I want to hear your thoughts on some of the first half versus second half here. For all the frustrations that they give us, and I said a lot of bad words sitting on my couch. My wife was videotaping me and may or may not have put them on her Instagram account of me saying things tonight, because she's like, my husband's going to crash out if they lose this game tonight. And I was. But they really just do play together. For all the crap that we say, for all the things that we get mad about, they're clearly together and they play together because they fight their way through it every week. But what did you think about the first half execution? Because the first half, they didn't score a lot. Obviously, they scored 10 points, but they moved the ball and they looked really good. CJ looked really crisp, made a lot of really good throws, and he made some really good throws in the second half towards the end when he needed to as well.
Yeah.
But what did you think overall with the differences in the halves? Was that simply a getting out coached in the second half? What happened?
First half, they had over 200 yards of offense in the first half. You have 200 yards and a half of offense. That's a damn good execution. You only had 10 points, but they moved the ball, like you mentioned. I like the way the game started. They ran the ball 3 straight plays to Woody Marks and got a first down. That was a tone setter. That helped them with their play action game. They were able to hit Nico Collins multiple times down the field. I thought CJ Stroud, although overall his stat line looks bad or looks average or looks below average, I thought he made multiple exceptional plays, especially after he was getting beat up in the third quarter. He made some throws to Jaden Higgins. He made some throws that converted on third and longs that flipped the field or allowed the Texans to get into scoring position late in the ball game, and ended up being the difference because CJ just made plays. He made plays with his legs. There was plays where he got out the pocket and threw across his body, and those Iowa State receivers once again were given opportunities to make plays, and they made them. But I was really happy with what I saw to CJ. Although in that third quarter, like I said, you could tell he was really uncomfortable and he was overthrowing. Seemed like everything he was overthrowing. It was almost like, I don't want to set my feet and throw this ball. I'm afraid I'm going to turn it over. So I'm going to throw it high and hopefully somebody can go up and get it. But I'm not going to throw it, to where it's catchable for the defense at all. And so he was airmailing multiple passes, and he could have converted a couple times on big plays if he didn't airmail the ball. But when you look at what was going on in the second half, they were getting beat up front. But in the first half, it wasn't that at all. In the first half, they would run the ball downhill, they would play action. I thought Nick Caley called an excellent first half of the game. When I just look at the plays that were being called, the touchdown pass to Woody Marks, that's a call. Hey, you're going to show that you're going to block this guy when they bring this all-out blitz. You're going to show that you're going to block him and then touch him and release, and you're going to be wide open because all-out blitz. All the other DBs are covering the receivers downfield. There's nobody left. Touchdown Texans. That was coached, and it was executed perfectly. CJ did a good job of just kind of slightly moving his body to the right because he knows the running back's going to release and his linebacker's going to be coming free, sits in there and makes the throw. That's good ball right there. That's winning football right there. And so, and that was in the red zone. You think about the multiple times that the Texans get into the red zones and bad things happen, and that happened this game too. They get in the red zone, and then you get a legal shift. Like Dalton Schultz should have scored a touchdown early in the ball game. A legal shift, like, what are we doing? Or we get a false start, and it was like a legal shift and a false start. I think they ended up just calling a false start. I think on Trent Brown on that play, but there was just operationally there was some stuff that was going on that was. It can cost you late in ball games. And when you were talking about how you were watching the game and you were like, if they come back and win this game, like, you're going to crash out. Like, there was an uneasy feeling when it was 10-10, and the Texans went 3 straight 3-and-outs. There was some uneasy feelings, but they pulled it out, like I said. And I think what happened in the second half, between the first half and the second half, is in the first half, the Texans had a good game plan. They were executing. They were staying on schedule for the most part. I think in the second half, I don't know if because they were up 10-0, there was a directive of like, hey, let's be smart about what we're doing. And maybe that changed up the approach as far as the aggressiveness out of Nick Caley. I thought the first play of the second half should have been a play action off a boot. Instead, it was a handoff, and the Chiefs just brought the house, and it was a tackle for loss. And then the Texans are behind the sticks at that point. And then now Kansas City's getting that momentum. And once that started, it was 3 straight possessions in a row where it was 3-and-out for the Texans. And so that momentum got to him, and Chris Jones is just that good of a football player. He got to him. And so I think that was the difference between the first half and the second half. The Texans didn't do a good enough job of slowing him down, and he was making plays, and other guys started making plays. Karlaftis was pushing guys into the backfield. It just got really physical by the Kansas City Chiefs defense in that third quarter. Not the same type of physicality that we saw in the first half. And it was more physicality from the Texans on the offensive side and early in the ball game. That switched at halftime. And I don't think that's necessarily a lack of adjustments thing. I just think that was maybe a sense of urgency or a sense of desperation from their parts that, hey, when you kill a king, think about all the scary movies you see in your life. The villain don't just die on the first shot or the first axe to the head.
It's taking how many tries now?
Yeah, they gonna get up again and again. Jason Voorhees, Michael Myers, all those guys, you don't ever kill them on the first time. And so that's what the Kansas City Chiefs are for the NFL. They are the boogeyman. And so to kill the boogeyman, he's going to get up and he's going to show you, I'm still the boogeyman. Eventually, you got to put him down. That's what the Texans did.
They did that. They get the victory, 8-5 now in the season, like we mentioned, and they're setting themselves up for they're setting themselves up for another double-digit win season, at least, because you have a couple of games in a row now against 2 very bad teams from out west in the Cardinals and the Raiders. Then, of course, you got the Chargers and the Colts still on the schedule. The Colts, by the way, for those that did not watch football today or haven't paid attention, sounds like they're going to officially lose Daniel Jones for the season with an Achilles injury. So rough one for them. It looks like it's going to come down to just Texans and Jags as the AFC South teams that are going to make the playoffs. But you never know in the NFL. I have a very important question for Wade, and I'm going to ask him that when we return here on the Locked On Texans Squad show. Before I ask that very important question, Wade, I want to tell you guys about Gametime. World Cup is coming back to North America for the first time since 1994, and with 48 teams for the first time ever, it's going to be massive. Let's be honest, getting tickets is usually the hardest part. That's why the Gametime app is clutch, finally giving fans a real advantage when it comes to snagging seats. With Gametime, you can track the price drops in real time, get alerts when great seats open, and buy tickets the moment they hit the app. It puts the power back in your hands and makes going to the World Cup realistic instead of impossible. Pick a game, tap a section, you have your tickets locked in within minutes. No confusion, no hunting for fine print. The seat view feature, is an absolute game changer in the app. You literally see what the pitch looks like from your exact seat before you buy. Take the guesswork out of buying World Cup tickets and every match, concert, or event with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, download the app, make an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go Gametime. So the Houston Texans defense is as elite as it gets. They hold the Kansas City Chiefs to 10 points tonight. Wade Smith played on a team in 2011 for the Houston Texans that also had a filthy Super Bowl quality defense. And I will always say if Matt Schaub didn't get his foot stepped on by big old Albert Haynesworth, the Texans might be in the Super Bowl that year because you guys were that good and you could run the rock. And you had a Hall of Famer out there catching passes too. You guys were kind of good. You guys had some talent. Pretty now, defensively specifically, is this I can't remember if I know I've asked you this before, but I don't think you were ready to give an answer. Are you ready to give an answer yet? Is this the best Texans defense we've seen?
Man, that's a good question. Are we saying this defense at full strength versus the 2011 defense at full strength, or are
I
you
think
saying
I think
like the
it comes down to
2011?
those two, right?
Yeah, it's those two defenses for sure. I mean they had a when JJ that year that he I think that was in 2014, the year
14,
that
they're
he
pretty good
almost
that year.
should have won the MVP that year. They
Yeah.
were damn good that year, and they had a lot of those same players on that team. But the 2011 year, the only thing difference about that year is are we comparing it to what it was like at the end of the season, or are we comparing it at its best, at its peak?
I
Because we got to
yeah.
think about it. Mario Williams went out for the season that year,
Torn pec, yeah.
torn pec. I think Connor went out for the season that year
Was
too.
that first game of the season, like snapped his ankle in half or something?
Yeah, so those two guys that was big time players, and they went out. But Brooks Reed came in there and had his best year of his career, his rookie year. So I don't know. I'll tell you what, this defense plays a brand of defense and physicality that is unlike any of the teams in 2025. You know what I mean? Like the defense now would translate back then, but there was other defenses that were like that. The Ravens defense, you had some defenses like that they would get after their ass, physical, all that type of stuff. The way the Texans play right now, it's not a lot of teams that play defense like that. They have big time players at all different levels, but I don't know. I'm still not ready to give an answer on that. I need more info. I need more because you got to think about it. That defense, if you look back at that defense, I want to say within a 3-year time span, I think like all but like two of those players were Pro Bowlers.
Yeah.
Like all of them, except for like two guys, like maybe what's my on the nose guy? I can't even think of my name.
Sean Cody.
Sean
Yeah.
Cody. Sean Cody was a non-Pro Bowler that was a starter on that defense, and then maybe Earl Mitchell. That was
Yeah.
it. Those are the only two, and those are good football players. But everybody else that was a starter on that defense, within like a 3-year window, they all Pro Bowlers. The whole secondary, the linebacking core. Think about it. You got D'Amico, Brian Cushing, and then the D line, Antonio Smith, Mario Williams,
JJ.
Connor Barwin, JJ Watt. I mean, that defense definitely had a lot of names, but it's tough to go against what I'm seeing day in and day out. And them playing at such a high level, and they're doing it kind of in a different way. Wade Phillips' defense is different than what D'Amico does, and I just really enjoy watching this defense play football because they play football the way I think it should be played. I feel like that the coaches have to thoroughly enjoy coming to work every day to work with these guys and try to figure out ways to get them one-on-ones, figure out ways. Like there was a point in the third quarter of the game where, to me, it was won the game for the Texans when Kansas City decides to go for it on 4th and
I
one
was
and a
I was
half.
getting ready to ask you that. What did you think of Kansas City going for that fourth down?
I thought it was this disrespectful ass call. Like Andy Reid,
I
I
did
know you're
too.
Andy Reid, but bro, that was disrespectful. And the defensive call forced it to where you have 5 one-on-one matchups. And so you got, I don't know who the right tackle was. He was just the second or third guy in line because their original right tackle, Jawan Taylor, was out that game. You put Will Anderson in a critical 4th and 1.5 situation against just a guy, that guy's going to get beat. And that's exactly what happened on that play. And so, those guys in the big moments, they make plays and they continue. I don't know the numbers of it, but I would say that this defense creates more turnovers than the 2011 defense created. Just
I'd imagine.
looking back on it, I feel like that every game, this Texans defense is creating 2 or 3 turnovers, like every single game. I can't think of a game where the Texans aren't creating turnovers. They just have so many guys that are opportunistic, that are ball hawks, that are going to get their hands on the ball. And they're not necessarily forcing a lot of fumbles, although
Oh
they're
yeah.
looking for them. They're looking for them. They're trying to – there was a play where I think last year they tried to punch the ball out, and the guy rolled forward for a first down just because he was trying to wait for the moment to punch the ball out. You can tell that that's the emphasis every single day over there is to create turnovers, and it shows up. It shows each and every week, and so I'm gonna ask me after week 17. Ask me after week 17. I'll have an answer for you, because I'll go back and do my research about how good that 2011 defense was, how good we were, because we were damn good, and it was fun to practice against them all training camp, and it was a battle because our offense was an elite offense. We had a lot of injuries on offense that year too. Andre Johnson only played like half the games during the regular season, and so
then he showed up in playoffs.
He showed up in the playoffs, but there was a lot of games that were closer than it would have been if he was out there for the whole year. You were just out there with Arian or whatever. So, this defense is definitely in the running for that. It's a legitimate conversation. Like I want to, just because you posed that to me, I want to go back and do my research to see. But right now, this defense is so fun to watch, and they play the game physical. They play the game the right way, and they continue to carry their weight and do what they need to do to win ball games for the Texans.
How long is this sustainable, though? That's my next question, because I like I mentioned earlier, I have faith in their ability to do enough, I feel like, to win football games. Clearly, I mean, they're doing that. They're 8-5 now. They've won 5 games in a row. They've rebounded from an 0-3 start to this season. But like, at some point, is that not sustainable, where you're putting this much pressure on the defense every single week to be, I mean, about damn near perfect, which they are? Can they keep that up?
If you want to win big, you got to clean up some of the things that are going on the offensive side of the ball. Like, you got to clean them up. Like, of course, you want to win big, you have to stay healthy. That's a huge part of this. Staying healthy and then cleaning things up on the offensive side of the ball. Winning that time of possession battle. They won that in the first half. In the second half, it flip-flopped. And so that it would be huge for that defense, so that they can continue to play at elite level and not worry about getting tired and fatigued late in ball games when it's winning time. But like I said, if the Texans continue to have issues with shifting and motioning and giving away, taking touchdowns off of the board because of things like that, those are things that happen that you say after them. You say you don't deserve to win. Mm-hmm. Like, if we can't get lined up right, if we can't shift in motion properly, you don't deserve to win big. And with the defense like the Texans have right now, they have a defense that can win big. It's a defense that travels. It's a defense that plays well at home. It's a defense that plays that keeps you in ball games. And then when you get a lead on people, it closes them out. It shuts the door on them. And so on the offensive side of the ball, protect CJ, make him feel comfortable. He can make the throws when he feels comfortable. The Texans have shown that they have big receivers, especially in between the hashes, that can make plays down the field. They can convert and get you first downs. They do a lot of things, and I talked about it last week on the post-game show. It's like the Texans offense continue to show me things week in, week out that gets me more excited. Like, oh, okay, they're running the ball when they need to run the ball, when the defense knows they got to run it, and they're converting. That's big. They're finding ways to get Nico Collins the ball. They're finding ways on 3rd and longs to convert. Those are teams those are things that, like, championship caliber teams, they do. It's 3rd and 12 and they convert anyway. That's what Pat Mahomes has been doing his entire career, of finding out a way to figure out to convert on 3rd and 16. Think about the play that he made tonight when they got the face mask on Mario Edwards.
Yeah.
Remember that play?
Yep.
Like, he's fading backward. He should have been sacked at first. He fading backwards. He throws the ball. He completes that pass. It was a first down. He just, the penalty, and it adds on to it. But the fact that he was able to escape that, make that throw, and that ball be completed, and for a first down, that's the Pat Mahomes type stuff. CJ made some plays like that tonight too.
CJ might have made more Mahomes type plays than Mahomes did tonight.
He did, and those are the type of things that, like, championship caliber teams do. And what they get out of the quarterback, they got to clean up some of that self-inflicted stuff, because that will bite you in the long run. But the way that they're playing offensively, of not turning the ball over, the way that they're playing special teams wise of flipping the fields, I think the defense, what they're doing now, is sustainable. If they can continue to do those things, now you add on to it, and if the offense can continue to improve and clean things up, now the games aren't as stressful for Texans fans. You get up early, you just continue to build the lead. The team that you're playing gets desperate, then they're having to throw the ball and they have to deal with that pass rush. They have to deal with those secondary members that love to go out and catch passes from the quarterbacks of opposing teams. So that plays right into what the Texans want to do. So I think it is sustainable if they can clean up the self-inflicted stuff that they're doing as far as just operational, getting the ball snapped on time, staying on sides, getting lined up properly, shifting and motioning, not having two guys at a time. Although I think that one that they called on the Dawson Schultz, that was kind of a ticky-tack call.
Yeah.
I thought that should have just been a touchdown to Schultz. It was a good play. And that was another play in the red zone that I thought that Nick Haley, and that's something that he's had to improve on entirely year. He's improving in that way as far as dialing, getting guys open. And so, like I said, that once again, that gives me more confidence of what the Texans can do going forward.
And you know what gave me some confidence tonight? And I'm sure it did you as well. We talked about it last week a little bit. Jaden Higgins had a play where he needed to dive forward to get those extra yards. He not only made the catches tonight in those big spots, in some of those on third downs, and it was only 3 catches tonight, but also was aware of his surroundings. You growing some faith in him as obvious. I mean, look, he's at this point, he's the number 2 receiver without a doubt on this football team, right?
Yeah. Those guys continue to make plays, and it's not like a situation where he is a go-to number 1 target or anything like that. But if he's a guy that's converting on third downs and making plays in clutch situations, like I believe if that pass that they threw to CJ threw to Christian Kirk that was dropped, that wasn't caught, I think if that's Higgins in that spot, I think he makes that play. I think his body type and his willingness to go over the middle and catch it in traffic, it gives an advantage against DBs that he's playing against, linebackers that he's playing against, safety that he's playing against. And he continues to when he gets those opportunities to make plays down the field, so that the Texans can hold on to that ball and can convert plays. And I think they need to figure out ways to get him the ball more often. I like what they did with Jalen Noel, putting him in the backfield.
Yep.
But don't hand him the ball. Let him run a route from that running back spot. Let him run a route. Let him run a route so you got him on a linebacker. I saw that and I thought, ooh,
that drove me
they're
nuts.
about to throw him the ball out of the backfield against a linebacker and he's going to get wide open. And they hand him the ball off and it started looking good at first. And then, could I talk about the tackling tonight?
Yeah.
Like the Kansas City Chiefs, the Houston Tech, there was some good ass tackling going on there. Like
there was 2 missed tackles on the Texans side, which almost bit him in the ass. But no, overall, you're right. There's a lot of really good. Well, I mean, you had the cream. One? Yeah, I mean, Daniil missed one, and then Aziz has Pat Mahomes right there, dead in his arms, and lets him go. But it didn't kill him, obviously. Yeah, but you're right overall.
But overall, there was a lot of really good physical form tackling, guys bringing their feet on contact, driving guys back. There was a lot of that going on tonight. For someone that enjoys watching good defensive football, there was a lot of that tonight. There was a lot of physicality going on out there. But yeah, man, listen, Higgins is a guy that's not afraid. He continues to make plays when he gets his number called, and that gives you confidence going forward that they have multiple. If you're a defense, you're going to game plan to slow down and shut down Nico Collins, and everybody else you just think are just like, decent complementary pieces, but you kind of understand what Nick Caserio was thinking when he's drafting these bigger targets, these Xavier Hutchinsons and these Jaden Higgins, and then you got Dalton Schultz playing between the hashes, making plays. There was a lot of times where you got a bigger target playing against a smaller DB or a smaller linebacker, and they're able to catch the ball in traffic and fall forward and convert and get first downs. And I saw that tonight, and you're going to continue. You've been seeing that over the past few weeks, and I think we're going to continue seeing that going forward.
Hopefully, we continue to see the wins as well. We'll come back to our final segment, take a little bit of a look ahead, and I got another big question to ask Wade about the Texans and something we asked on Tuesday's show that I'll ask you next here on the Locked On Texans Squad show. FanDuel, though, is what I want to talk to you guys about right now. NFL Sundays move fast. One big play, and suddenly everything feels, well, different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place your bets as the action unfolds. Every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment, period, end of story. Live betting, I should say, is the best when the game gets started and there's that shift, whether it's a receiver that gets hot, a defense tightens up, or the momentum flips after a turnover. FanDuel gives you the jump that you can get into that moment, from live spreads and money lines that adjust instantly, player props that update as guys heat up. And then, of course, you can bet the next touchdown scores, drive results, totals, and more. It keeps you locked into every snap, every drive, every possibility. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, so can you. All right, our final few minutes of the Locked On Texans Squad show. Michael Connor and former Texans offensive lineman Wade Smith, John, and Stan will be back with me Tuesday as we will do the midweek show, getting you ready for the Cardinals. Then, of course, the leftovers from this one. That, by the way, tonight for Kansas City was just the second loss for them this season at home. They're 6-7, but they're 5-2 now at Arrowhead. That's the one thing that they've been able to do pretty much overall, was protect their home field. The Texans go up there now. The Texans 4-3 on the road this season, 8-5 overall, and now the 7th seed in the AFC. So, Wade, we asked this question the other night at the very end of the show. I think John asked it and said, if the Texans win this, or Stan asked it, if the Texans win this weekend, do you think they're an AFC title? That was John. Okay, I'm going to go back and forth on who it was. If they win, do you think they can go to the AFC title game? And I said, yes, absolutely. So, they won. Do you think this team is now capable of going to the AFC title game?
I thought they were capable of it before this game, and this just gives you more evidence if you're having an argument or debate with somebody to say, yeah, they can go do it. It's just evidence of saying, like, hey, they can go on the road, because to make it to an AFC championship game, in all likelihood, you're going to have to go on the road to get a W or two. But you look at the AFC, just look at the teams that are in the lead right now. Nobody scares me. I'm just be straight up honest with you. Nobody scares me. There's nobody that scares me. You know, you got New England is the number 1 seed in the AFC, I believe. They got a
Denver's taking over that spot this weekend.
Oh, they did?
Yep. Denver's 1, New England's 2, then Jacksonville, Pittsburgh, Buffalo, Chargers, Texans.
Yeah, none of those teams scare me. They just don't. I mean, Denver doesn't scare me. The Patriots don't scare me. Pittsburgh don't scare me. I sit there and watch Pittsburgh let the Ravens come back in that game. They had it won.
Pittsburgh's offense looked good today, though. I'll give them that.
I mean, that's great, but they, like I said, they just
not with you overall.
These teams are all beatable, and the Texans are beatable too. Like everybody can beat everybody, but what the Texans have that these other teams don't have is an elite defense that is continuing to play at elite level when opponents and teams are coming into the game knowing that, like, hey, we got to deal with this elite defense. We're coming up with game plans to slow these guys down, and it's not working. You give up 10 points. If you're Kansas City in a gotta-have a situation and you only can score 10 points, hey, there's something that forced that to happen. There's something that made that happen. That's the Texans defense. They're just playing at such a high level. It's tough for you to be afraid of anybody because they match up well with everybody. Like, you know, a lot of times ball is about matchups, and that defensive line, it's not just two guys. It's not just Daniil and Will are an amazing combo of guys, but it ain't just them. You know, Barnett's going to cause problems. Dylan Hurts is going to come in the game and cause problems. Tommy T always makes plays. Mario Edwards going to make a play here. They're like, these guys are going to they just have so much depth on the defensive line. And then at the linebacker spots, you got Aziz and Henry that are playing well, and then EJ Speed comes in there, he plays well, and then the DBs. I would say it's the best collection of DBs in the league. Like that defensive backfield, especially when you add Pitre in it, like you got Lassiter, Stingley, Bullock, Miles Bryant is playing well. Every other safety that it was supposed to be, the guy that was supposed to be hasn't played all year, and everybody else that stepped in kind of in that role has played well. They've gotten hurt, and then somebody else comes in and played well, and then Pitre is just this Swiss Army knife that can do everything. These other teams don't scare me, so yeah, they can win the AFC championship. They can win a Super Bowl because I look at the league.
Yeah.
There's no team that I say like, oh, the Texans can't beat them. Why? Why would I say that? Why would I feel that? Just based off of what I'm seeing week in and week out. Parity is a real thing. The league is set up that way, and it's a real thing. We grew up, and it was not like that. When I grew up, it was the Cowboys, it was the 49ers, it was, like the Giants and Washington before then. It was the certain teams that you was like, the Bills are going to come out of the AFC. There was certain teams that it just is what it is. The Pittsburgh Steelers. Everybody took their turn of being dynasties. It ain't like that now. Anybody can beat anybody, and that's the case. That's where you got to clean up those little things so that you can win ball games. Because, hey, we got in the red zone, and instead of 1st and 15 or 1st and 20 because we got a penalty on first down, we have 2nd and 4 because we ran a nice little angle route in the 2nd and 4. And then we handed the ball off as 3rd and 1. And then you line up and do a QB sneak with Cade Stover, and then you get called offsides. He converted. Like we talk about 3rd and shorts, it was converted. You lined up offsides. Now, was the call BS? I'd say yeah. Chris Jones is lined up. His helmet is all over the line. And so, with this whole tush push thing, who knows how to call it? But I just thought it was a ticky-tack call. But
this will be the last year that you have to worry about it because that they're going to vote that play out after this year.
Yeah, based on for sure. Like it's almost like I feel like I get the feeling that they just like, we're not going to call this play uniformly at all. So people get so frustrated with it that we can get it up out of here. Because in 1 minute, it's like the offense jumps off sides and they don't call it, and then they convert. And so the defense is pissed off. And then another time the defense lines up off sides and they strip the ball away, and the offense is like, he's lined up off sides. And so they're like, you know what? The play they called today, that shouldn't have been an offsides call on the Texans. Should have been offside on Kansas City, or no call. Both of y'all lined up offsides, because I don't even know what's the rule for that. If both teams line up offsides, are you going to call both of them, or are you just going to let them play?
It's a great question.
I would think you would just call both of them as offsetting and it's 3rd and 1 again, and then you fix it, or you just say, you know what, I'm just going to let them play. But to call on the Texans and not on Kansas City, that just it don't make any sense. And so I agree with you 1,000%. That play is going to be out next year. They're going to figure out. They're going to make some rule where you can only have a certain amount of guys lined up in a certain amount of places or whatever. Make them spread the guys out so that you can't do that specific place. But the thing about it is you don't need the tush push to convert with quarterback sneaks. Quarterback sneaks used to be a thing for the entire history of the NFL. So they can. And CJ converted, I think, one of those.
One of them, yeah.
But it was one of them tonight. So there's ways to get it. But, yeah, you got to clean up things to where you're not giving away possessions, giving away points, and staying on schedule offensively and continuing to move the ball and hold the ball. And you can win games 23 to 10 and 17 to 13 and 21 to 14 in the playoffs. That you don't need to score 40 points a game to win a Super Bowl. So with that defense, definitely the Texans can be anybody that you line up and play against.
Well,
period. And they're showing that over the past 4 weeks.
Next week they have to play an Arizona Cardinals team, as we'll start to wrap it up here. At a Cardinals team that interplay 3-10. Jacoby Brissett's playing quarterback for them. They are not good. It's just as simple as that. As a player, what do you do in these situations, Stan, when you are the clear-cut favorite going in? How do these guys? What is the emphasis during the week to keep you from thinking this is just a show up and you walk out of there with a win?
It's not one of those things. It's one of those things you go out there and dominate, and you let them know early on that you're going to get dominated, and you want to make them quit early. You don't want to let a team like that hang around. You don't want to let them start to believe. You want to give them a reason to go ahead and tap out and try to look for a way out. You know, if the game stays close, they're going to try to find ways in. But when you put them out their misery early, they're going to be looking for ways out. And when they look for ways out, then you can look for ways to get your starters out of the ballgame. And that's the goal. In the fourth quarter, a lot of your marquee players are watching football with ball caps on as opposed to playing football. And against a team like the Cardinals that, you know, they got a damn good tight end, and I don't know much else besides that.
Yeah, I don't either.
They got McBride, and I know McBride because of fantasy football, and I see him putting up big numbers every week, but they don't have much besides that. And, you know, they're 3-10 ball club, and you don't know how much they're actually playing to win right now. With Jacoby Brissett at quarterback, I guess you could say they must be trying to play to win, because Jacoby Brissett is not a young quarterback. That's somebody you're trying to, you know, figure things out with and glean some things that you can do forward with the organization. But the Texans have to jump on these guys early and not have them have any type of belief that they can win this ball game and come out there with a W, and work on things offensively of cleaning up how you're operating. And if you can clean up how you're operating, I think in a lot of ways there's some execution things that are going well for the Texans. I think offensive line wise, like today, Chris Jones had a hell of a ball game, but I don't want to take anything away from him. But a lot of that was self-inflicted, because you're sliding to the guy and you're not playing to your help. You're getting beat outside when you have help to your inside. Like those are things that are easily correctable. And the person I'm thinking of is Ed Ingram. Ed Ingram, earlier in the ball game, there's a double team. They're talking about dual block, and Bolton blitzes through. I mean, he hits the gap hard and gets a tackle for loss or whatever, right? And then later on in the ball game, they ran the same play. He makes the adjustment, comes off the double team, blocks Bolton, it's just a first down. You convert. That type of stuff you see on the film, and you correct that thing in real time. But if you come into ball games and you're focusing on those aspects, then the execution on the offense improves, and you get to a point to where now you can put up 27, you can put up 30-something points against the Arizona Cardinals and come out with a W. And there's no stress. The Texans fans can be in the club level, enjoying themselves over at the Star Bar or whatever the places that they be at, you know.
Back out of the parking lot eating barbecue.
Yeah, you know, I don't want them in the parking lot, because you can come inside. You know, the tailgating is on point, no question about that. But come on inside and watch the game. But yeah, it don't have to be stressful every time. We don't have to make this thing stressful. Why? Just go out there and handle your business and move on to the next one. And that's a big thing for the Texans. You're talking about going on a run. Let's stay healthy. Let's improve on what we've been working on the different things that we needed to get corrected from the week before, and go out there and handle your business and play and be who you are. If you be who you are, if you're a swarming defense, if you want to try to run the ball downhill up front, if you're going to get your ball to your playmakers on the outside, in between the hashes, if you do those things, you're better than your opponent. You'll come out with a W.
What they are at this point is battle tested at 8-5 on the season and the 7th seed in the AFC. Well, we appreciate everyone that watched the show live tonight. Of course, make sure you hit subscribe to the channel here. Come back and join us. We will be live after the game next Sunday. There will be a midweek show as well, Tuesday night, 6 p.m., as we'll get you ready for that one. And, of course, take a look back on this one. For former Texans offensive lineman Wade Smith, I am Michael Connor. We appreciate you spending your Sunday evening with us. We'll talk to you this week on the Locked On Texans Squad show.